Good evening everybody, I'm Dean, Matt's best man. Now, before I start, I'd like to say, Adele, you look lovely today, beautiful. As do Megan and Jackie, and all you other ladies. I'll get round to the rest of you later, okay? Before I start, I'd like to say that Matt's been really worried about this.
So he should.
Last week, like, he was saying, I'm going to tell you how the conversation went. Right? It was, look, Boise, that's his nickname for me. Be careful what you say. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, look, Will, I've only just got married and I don't want to get divorced on the same night. Right? And I said, well, does she know everything about when you grew up? And he said, well, yeah, I think so. So I like, does she know about the clothes? And he like looks at me, the clothes. And I went, remember, you used to dress up in Nessie's and Alison's clothes. He was like, it's probably best if you don't mention the clothes.
He doesn't wear mine.
So,
Stretches them.
I said, how about the magazines? Does she know about the magazines? The magazines? I went, can't you remember your magazine collection? Top shelf, Boggy. And he went, it's probably best if you don't mention the magazines. How about the videos? How about the videos? It's probably best if you don't do a speech. It's in a formal wedding, right? So, anyway, I'm here, I'm going to do it, right? And I thought to myself, do I ridicule him? If I did that, could I look at myself in the mirror?
Yes.
So, there's a couple of things that Boggy has done which nobody in the whole world could do, right? And I've been witness to these, right? The first one, we've been out, they all used to do with beer, but we've been out, right? And we've gone back home, we've had a Chinese. Now, when we went in the Chinese, I'm like, yeah, I'll have that. Boggy's one of these who, when he's drunk, it's like, I'll have that. Right, so we go back home, and he piles these plates up, and it's massive, and we're in my house, right? And I'm thinking, he's going to make a right mess with it, right? Anyway, we go, he starts, and he does this thing which I've never seen anybody in the whole world do, because he gets the plate, and he puts it there, and he shovels, and he don't stop shoveling until that plate is empty. And to see it is incredible. I brought my kids up on it because I said to them, like, you know, when my daughter says, well, I'm only 5, I'm going to make a mess, and I say, watch this video. That man was blasted, and he'd never dropped a grain of rice. The second one was last week. We went out for an Indian last week, and again, this is food orientated. We've gone to the Indian. And if I hadn't got this on, I've got pictures of it, but not video, unfortunately. But I sat there, and Bog fell asleep. But he's the only person in the whole wide world who can still eat an Indian while he's asleep. He was asleep, and he was there picking away. And to this day, I've never seen anything like it.
It's like a cockroach when you cut the head off.
So anyway, another thing, every night we read my daughter a story, and in this fairy tale book the other night I found this one and I thought, hang on, this looks a bit familiar. Right, so I typed it up and I'm gonna see how it goes anyway. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Hurst Green, there lived a noble family, Lord Ken and Lady Jackie. One day, on the 14th of March 1971, they gave birth to a little boy who they named Prancelot. Now Prancelot was an ugly baby, and it was purely coincidental that 2 weeks after he was born, family planning was made available on the NHS. It was a sad time. Lady Jackie didn't get morning sickness till after Prancelot was born. In fact, Matt was the only baby in Hurst Green to have shutters on his pram. But nurturing they did, until Matt went to play school. Sorry, Prancelot went to play school. Where I'm afraid to say he was a slow starter. He was different to all the other 5-year-olds. He was 11. By the age of 14, the nickname was well and truly in place. Sorry, this isn't about you. Sorry, Bob. Sorry, Prancelot. Anyway, Prancelot was now growing up rapidly, and he was destined to become one of the knights of the Hurst Green Round Table. His swordmanship and heroism, along with his other knights, helped to keep the kingdom safe. They were dark days, with evil lurking around every corner. There were witches and dragons, goblins and ghouls. He watched porn. Oh shit. Sorry. Now, Sir Prancelot had always had a fascination with fire. One night after the knights had ransacked a local castle, they were resting in the nearby woods. There were two local lads fishing. They were trying to create this fire, and they weren't getting nowhere. So Matt comes over, trying to make fire, lads, I'll show you how to do fire. Out comes his trusty petrol can. Why he'd got a petrol can with him when we were walking around the woods, I don't know. But he created the biggest campfire the world has ever seen. I'm telling you, it was higher than that tree. And these lads were like, you know, it was that big and the flames are going up there. It was, you've got to be there to see. Anyway, Sir Prancelot had always had an eye for a sail. One night when Sir Prancelot and the dashing, brave and heroic Sir Dean were in a nearby rundown factory that they used to hang about in, Sir Prancelot had the brainwave of removing all the fire doors inside the factory and selling them to the woodwork teacher at school. Anyway, Mr Moran gave us £20 per door. Sorry, not us, he gave the knights £20 per door. After Matt had arranged for a man in the van on a Friday night to deliver them to us. Sir Prancelot left school and the ale flowed. And the ale flowed, and the ale flowed. He battled monsters and dragons, and most of all he battled the weight. One day when he was sitting with the dashing, brave and heroic Sir Dean, he said to him, if you don't mind me asking, how do you keep yourself so trim? So Sir Dean said, well, I eat Italian bread. And Matt says, Italian bread? I said, yeah, I said, no, if that's what you want, that's the best thing for you. So anyway, after that, Matt went down to Blackheath to the local bakers, and he says to the woman, like, you sell Italian bread? And she said, yeah, it's on the shelf behind me. He says, I'll have 5 loaves. And she said, well, by the time you get to the 5th, it'll be hard. He says, does everybody know about this bread except for me? Anyway, the years went on and the knights of Hurst Green drifted apart. Sir Prancelot met up with other knights and continued his quests. He met the gallant Sir Steve, the mighty Sir Dav, the courageous Sir Baz, where the battles against evil continued. Until one day, Sir Prancelot was captured by an evil witch who locked him away in a tower deep inside the never-ending forest. The world lost touch with Sir Prancelot as no one could break the evil spell that was cast upon him. Until one day, a beautiful princess, Princess Adele, was riding her horse through the never-ending forest. She heard music and thought, is that somebody singing to Andy Williams? She rode towards the tower and shouted up, oi, you're killing that tune, mate. Sir Prancelot looked out from his high tower, amazed that below sat a beautiful princess. I am trapped in here for eternity, he said. Princess Adele shouted up, Prancelot, Prancelot, let down your fair hair. Sir Prancelot replied, but I have no hair. Princess Adele looked up to the window and said, no shit, Sherlock. Climb out the window then. Sir Prancelot looked at the window and said, but I'll never fit through that gap. Princess Adele shouted again, well, you can just come out through the bedroom door. Sir Prancelot looked behind him to the door. There's too much stuff in the way. Princess Adele asked him, what can you possibly have in the way? Prancelot looked over to the door and his mighty power tool collection. Well, there's a JZR 500 cement mixer, 80 revolutions a minute. I've also got an electric one, but that's too quiet. I've got a Dolmar 50cc 4-stroke chainsaw. I've also got a chainsaw on a 10-foot stick. I've got a Rainbow jackhammer. He paused, catching his breath. There's 7 cordless drills, 6 different saws, 5 lawn mowers, another cordless drill, 3 tile cutters, 2 angle grinders, and a partridge in a pear tree. Sorry, that's the long story. So Princess Adele said, well, how long will it take you to shift all that stuff? Prancelot looked behind again at his massive array of power tools. It's probably best if you give me a week or 2. I'll call you or send you a text. Princess Adele was about to ride off when suddenly she remembered someone telling her about a certain Sir Prancelot who never made or returned calls or texts. A man who liked to drag the job out. She turned and said, "Listen, Buster, you'll move that stuff now." And that moment, Sir Prancelot fell in love. He moved his power tools and ran down the stairs, jumping on the back of Princess Adele's horse. Luckily for the horse, there was an RSPCA man. The two lovers then rode off into the sunset. Princess Adele on her stallion, and Sir Prancelot on his sit-down lawnmower. Behind ran a little black Labrador named Pig. And they all rode off and lived happily ever after. So here we are today to celebrate the wedding of Matthew and Adele. And they really look well together, don't they? I must say. Yeah. They really do.
Yeah.
There are a few thank yous I have to make. I'd like to thank Alison for being a beautiful bridesmaid. Liz for the superb flowers. Daniel for his reading, that was fantastic. The choir, who were fantastic. And Rachel and Phil for doing the photography. Anybody else? I'm sorry. And Henry and Dad. Yes, I never put you two down.
Alright, we just turned up.
And now I'd like you all to join me. I've not got a glass. In a toast.
Would you
raise your glasses, please, to the bride and groom, Adele and Matthew. All the best for the future.
Bride and groom.
All the best.